Nikola Tesla and the modern-day power grid.
Tesla came to the United States already a brilliant mind. With the concept of AC current in his hands, he was about to start a war of currents that would eventually revolutionize the way we are able to transmit power and electricity in society today. Nikola Tesla transformed lives across the planet by pushing AC electricity as the primary form of transferring power in the modern world, resulting in the development of the electrical power grid, which in turn has revolutionized the way humans live across the planet.
We interviewed Mr. Lund, a physics teacher at Chanhassen High School. Here's what he had to say.
It's easy to transmit large amounts of power through wires on alternating current at very high voltages. You can transport it long distances with relatively small amount of power loss. If you transmit power at low voltages, you need to have high amounts of electric current. The power loss is proportional to the square of the current. So if you had twice as much current, you're going to get 4 times the amount of power being lost as heat. If you increase the voltage a lot, you definitely decrease the amount of energy lost inside the wires. We use alternating current instead of direct current because it's easy to take alternating current at 1 voltage, and by using a simple thing with no moving parts, it's called a transformer. It's just a bunch of winding wires around a metal core on this side, and some other wires wound around on that side, and you put your power in on one side, and you can either step the voltage up or you can step it down depending upon how many turns of wire you put on each side. You can take power at a very high voltage coming in, and you can step it down to a lower amount of voltage. The kind of voltage that we use in our houses is typically either 110 or 220 volts. It's harder to change the DC current to a lower voltage. In the summertime in particular, it's at the same time the wires are already warm. If you are using a lot of current through the wires, then the wires, which are already warm because of the sun shining on them, they get warmer because of a lot of current running through them for all those air conditioners. And when they get warmer, their resistance increases. So to continue to run the current through them, you get a lot more power loss through there. And so they get warmer. And when they get warmer, they stretch. Alternating current is much more dangerous to living beings than direct current. For example, if you got DC current going through you, it is less dangerous than the same amount of AC current, because the AC current sends signals, and some of them will cause your muscles to lock, and some of them will cause your heart to beat at the wrong rate or perhaps stop altogether.
As Mr. Lund mentioned earlier, AC current is more dangerous to living things. This video shows an experiment Thomas Edison did to strike fear into the masses about AC current.
On the other hand, since direct current is far less efficient and carries far more current, much more energy is lost. When that energy is lost, it turns straight into heat. When the wires heat up inside of the walls of your house, and with such close proximity to flammable materials such as wood and sheetrock, it can burn down your house.
There is also a danger behind oil lamps and candles in the house. The chemical in candles is called paraffin, and that is a flammable source. Oil lamps, on the other hand, use kerosene, which is a highly flammable oil as well. These sources are capable of setting fire to buildings.
With the invention of the power grid, we no longer need to use these flammable sources. Instead, we have electricity transmitted to our houses from power grids.
How the electrical power grid impacts modern society today.
To start off, here are some common household items that would not be possible without the invention of electricity in the power grid.
The toaster.
The television.
The light bulb.
The lamp.
The microwave.
The convection oven.
The coffee maker.
And a whole bunch of cords that everyone has. Without the AC current power grid, much of this would not be available to the masses. It would be limited by distance from the power generators, and it would cost significantly more than it does today, meaning that many people could not afford it.
As you can see, when the power goes out, we lose more than just lights. Malfunctions or problems with the power grid have a major impact on everyone in today's society. When the power grid shuts off, we lose communication, news, updates, internet, and even though power outages don't happen very often, they can be very devastating to our modern world.
Tesla was an excellent engineer. He was more of a scientist maybe than an engineer. Edison was a great engineer. He had the drive, he had lots of skills, his mind went everywhere, but he wasn't much of a scientist. I think Tesla was more of the scientist. That's why Tesla could see beyond what the needs of the moment and into the needs of the future.
Approximately 1/6 of the world's 7.5 billion people live without electricity every day. Most of these people happen to live in the darker portion of this lights at night map. From a geographical perspective, these lights only take up what would appear to be approximately half of the planet, meaning that half of the planet is left without electricity. At the same time, 5/6 of the human population have migrated to these zones with access to electricity. Because of this, we have overpopulation in some areas, whereas others there is almost no one. Eventually, more and more people will gain easy access to electricity across the planet. One of two things will happen. Either the people in the darker half of the planet will all move to the lighter half, or the lights at night will completely cover all of the darker land masses. It simply depends on who moves first.
Nikola Tesla continues to transform lives across the world today. His work resulted in our AC power grid, which has revolutionized the way humans live across our planet. Without his work, we would not be living nearly the same lives we are today.